Are you carrying emotional baggage from your past, maybe even from childhood, or past relationships that are now affecting your life and your relationships today? It could be back from childhood, adolescence, no matter what it is. But if it's getting in the way of your relationship now, please listen in. Hi, I'm Carol Bettino, psychotherapist and the author of Better Choices, Better Life, and Directions, Your Roadmap to Happiness. I received a letter from Dan, and he said, "Your podcasts have been very helpful. I hope you can give me some advice on my relationship. I am 26 years old and have been with my girlfriend, who is 23, for 10 months. She grew up in an abusive home and was abused by her father. She had two boyfriends in high school that were both very controlling, abusive, and cheated on her. She is very insecure and jealous. She easily gets angry and won't talk things out. She struggles with depression and anxiety but won't get help. When I brought up your podcast and counseling, she got angry and told me to stop trying to control her. I'm not controlling or abusive, and I have never cheated on her. However, she accuses me of things that I have never done. I don't know how to handle her moods or her anger. It feels very overwhelming at times. Please help." Well, for starters, I want to answer this two ways. One, for you, Dan, to give you some information on how to handle it, but also for the people that may be listening to that letter and said, "I can relate to her." Because I want you to see it from both sides. So the first thing is, this is a perfect example of one's past dictating one's present. We are not held hostage to our past unless we allow it to. We truly were victims in abusive situations in the past, but we are not victims in the present. We are survivors. So if there are things you are carrying from your past, you don't have to be a victim of it or a byproduct of it or recreate it in your relationships today. You have to learn how to deal with it. Now, unfortunately, you cannot control another person's thoughts, feelings, or behaviors. So you can't make her change or get her to go to counseling. But if your decision is this relationship is important to you and you want to work on it, then you need to talk to her. But find the right time. Don't do it after a fight. Don't do it after she has gotten angry or is being hurtful or mean or accusing you of cheating. Find a good time. And at that point, I want you to be able to sit down and tell her how you care, how you feel about her. Like, "I care about you. I want to be in this relationship, but I'm also concerned about where our lives are going to go if I stay." And then be able to talk to her. Now, let me just do a little comment here, is if she won't talk, write down your needs, your feelings, what you're going through, the choices that you're, trying to make in a letter. Write the letter, put it aside for a little while, and then go back. And then when you go back, make sure that you didn't write things that are hurtful to her or accusing her of things, but just being able to write it in a way that says, "When you accuse me of this, I feel hurt and I feel angry." Or when you are jealous, I feel frustrated because I don't give you a reason to. Or when you're angry and you take it out on me, I feel disappointed, I feel defeated, whatever the feelings are, and we could have more than one feeling. And say, "Because I care about you and I want to work this through, and I feel bad that others have abused you or that you grew up in some hard times, but I don't deserve it." And that's the key, is I don't deserve somebody else's abuse or somebody else's accusations when they're not true, somebody else's problems. But we all carry baggage. And I think the thing is I like to always give the example that I give in my book, is if you go to the airport and it says one baggage per person, what they're basically saying is if you carry more, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And so we recognize that we don't want to carry what we don't need. We don't want to carry what doesn't belong to us. And we don't want to carry something that's going to prevent us from going where we want to go in life, doing what we want to do, and being what we want to be. Now, in my book, I use the example, imagine being at the airport and you see the sign, 1 baggage per person. Now you get disappointed because you never even think about getting rid of the baggage. You only think about you can't do something because of it. That's where that victim mentality comes in, that victim thinking. So what happens? You act like it doesn't bother you. Then you get angry and you say things like, I don't care. You know what? I don't want to go on a plane. I'd rather take a bus. It's so much nicer. So that's the first time you're starting to not do what you really want, and you're giving up something and lying to yourself that you don't care. But the reality is you do. So then what happens? You go to the bus stop and guess what? They got the same sign there, 1 baggage per person. Again, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're still thinking like a victim, so you're angry at other people for being able to go where they want to go, do what they want to do, be what they want to be, but you can't do it because in your mind that's what you think that you can't. So you go away from the bus and you say, you know what, I don't need no plane, I don't need no bus. The train is cheaper, it's nicer, it's cleaner, I'm going to take a train. Again, you're settling. You're pretending that things don't matter. And you're not facing the reality that that baggage that you're carrying is the only thing that's preventing you from going where you want to go and doing what you want to do and being who you want to be. So you look at it and you think, I'm going to the train station. Sorry, but you're going to see the same sign. Now you're angry and you're angry at everybody else. You're blaming everybody else. Then you see a cab and you think, I'll pay any price. Just get me out of here. The cab is very symbolic because it's kind of like saying that's your food, that's your drug, that's your alcohol, that's your anger, that's your anxiety, that's all of the things that are preventing you from moving forward. But the cab driver says, look, I'd love to take you where you want to go, but you got to get rid of the baggage. The moral of the story is if you carry that baggage with you, you're the one who can't do what you want to do or be who you want to be or go where you want to go. Do not be tied to your past. Do not let that get the best of you. So I think that's important to keep that in mind. But I also want to get back to Dan's letter. From Dan, your perspective, if this is important for you and this is the reason, that prevents you from moving forward, talk about it, get it out. You can say, I understand your struggle with depression and anxiety, and you've been hurt in the past, but I'm not the one who did it to you. And I'm the one that you take it out on. And I'm the one who wants to help you, but I don't know how. And ask her to seek professional help. Ask her to maybe listen to the podcast together, whatever it may be. And if you do write that letter, make sure you end with a statement that says something about what your wants and your needs are in this relationship and what kind of boundaries you need to set in order to move forward. And the other is, I think sometimes when we're with somebody like this, we need to look within and ask ourselves, why am I staying? Is it hurting me? Or is it something that I still want to do, but there's hope? But if somebody's being abusive to you, there's no excuse for bad behavior like that. And no one should accept that. Nobody should take that. And you should not be so stuck in a relationship where it's creating anxiety or problems for you. So if you talk it out and it works out, great. If not, sometimes it's time that we have to move on and hope that that person somewhere down the line will decide, I'm not willing to carry this baggage anymore. It's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. I've carried it for so long and I'm not carrying it anymore. So that's what I would ask you to look at. Look at it from both ends, because people who are listening right now, you may be Dan's girlfriend. It doesn't make you a bad person, but your behavior is only going to destroy a healthy relationship. So work it out and Dan, if you need to, it's okay for you to go into counseling as well, so that you don't find yourself staying in an environment or in a relationship that's not going to give you your needs. But if there is abuse, by all means, nobody should tolerate that or put up with it. And I thank you for your letter. I do want to talk about carried feelings, because that's what this is about. This is about carrying feelings from the past. And when we do that, you can be frustrated or annoyed or angry about something, but the way you choose to handle it is an overreaction. So you handle it with rage. You handle it with the drama. You handle it with, the argument, the fight, whatever it is. You must go back to the original emotion and look at, how do I now control it? I'm not a victim anymore. I'm the survivor. I've moved beyond it. So I would recommend that you journal a lot about your feelings and where they come from, how much you've carried, and what do you want to do with this baggage. You have to kind of open up the baggage and look in and go, whoa, what am I carrying this for? This isn't even mine. This doesn't belong to me. This doesn't fit for me anymore. That was me then. That's not who I am now. And we have to be able to let go of it. Same thing with sadness. If you don't deal with sadness and you've carried sadness from maybe a past relationship or childhood, that's where depression can come from. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about, chemical imbalances or anything like that. I'm talking about just emotions right now. And so when we don't deal with sadness, any form of sadness, any form of grief, any form of hurt or pain is going to make us withdraw and retreat within and experience maybe depression or despair. Same thing with fears, whether they're real or imagined. If a person deals with fear, when they worry about something, they deal with it through being solution-oriented. I'm worried about this, how do I fix it? I'm worried about this, how can we correct this and make this better? I'm worried about our relationship not going further, and I want it to. What can we do differently? How can we make this better? If we don't deal with those fears, then we have anxiety. And if you're staying in an unhealthy relationship, it can create anxiety, and it can create panic and even paranoia. And that's where some people can stay stuck in a relationship because they're really stuck in their past. Your past should not dictate your present or your future. You should have total control of what I want to do with my feelings. Maybe when the feelings come up, I may not have control, but you have control over once they surface, what am I going to do about it? Otherwise, your anger becomes rage, your sadness becomes despair, your fear becomes panic, paranoia, anxiety. Your guilt becomes shame, where you don't feel worthy or worthwhile. All of that is unhealthy. Now, getting rid of our baggage, identify what is in the past. Is it an abuse? Is it a trauma? Could it have even been a tragedy? Nobody else's fault, but it was indeed a tragedy, and people didn't know how to deal with those emotions. An unresolved issue. Whatever it is, journal about it. And if you get into counseling, that's something great to share with your therapist. If not, put your journal away, go back a couple of days later, look over it again, and gain some insight as to where is it coming from. You want to be able to challenge the faulty thinking, okay, and any beliefs. So like if somebody cheated on you, you want to get to the point that the faulty thought was, it's because I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't shapely enough, I wasn't good enough, I wasn't handsome enough, I wasn't strong enough. I don't care what the reason is. Don't let it be some distorted viewpoint. So when you write those things down, go back and look over them. Get rid of any unnecessary words. The I cans and I'm a victim and all of that. It's like, no, reprogram your brain. Learn to use the word dismiss. In a court of law, when the judge says the case dismissed, guess what? It's over. Nobody else has power. You're the one who controls your brain. If you need to, definitely seek professional help. Do not allow your past to affect and impact your relationships in the present or the future. I'd like to end with one of my affirmational quotes, and it says, I will let go of any baggage that will keep me stuck in negative thoughts and behaviors. I want to thank you all for listening. Please share this podcast. I really appreciate if you would do that with others on your social media.